What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Card Hedge Podcast. I'm your host, Omar, aka Retro Hoops. Got the wonderful JD with me tonight. What's going on, boss?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
It's madness over here, dude. I've been working on this freaking car for like 3 or 4 days. I finally get it fixed, and I forgot to tighten the freaking oil filter, and I basically turned my entire driveway into a black canvas.
Dumbass.
You can't make it. You can't make this crap up. Other than that, man, it's been great, man.
That's why I don't work in my car anymore.
I can't stay away from it. You know, it's one of those situations where it's like, I could just send it to an auto shop, but I don't know.
I get it. You're good at that stuff though. Like me, dude, did I tell you, like in the last 2 months, I've gotten 2 nails, construction nails in my back tires of my truck on the side,
the sidewall.
Almost. So like they were still able to be plugged, but like a pubic hair more, and I would have been totally effed. I'm like, the guy that fixes my tires, he's like, how the hell do you get nails? And I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. I drive all over the place.
Man, that's hilarious. Man. Well, here's the thing, man. I think we got an awesome episode lined up today. Last episode was with Peter from SGC.
Yep.
Great episode. Now we're filming these back to back, so we haven't released that one yet as of today, as of the day that we're filming. Yep. But I'm pretty excited because we're starting to bring in some really high-end people in this hobby, talking to some movers around here. Yep. And today's guest is no exception. You guys have heard me talk about HGA for a long time. I think I would probably say, and this is something that I'm relatively proud of, is that I think I may have been the first person to actually do a video about HGA way back in the day when things first kicked off. So I caught a lot of flack about it then. I'm still catching flack about it now. I don't really care because you guys know how I get down when it comes to grading. But I'm very happy today to have with us the CEO of HGA, Mr. Jordan Holyfield. And so we'll bring him in. Jordan, how's it going?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Not too bad, man. Is it Jordan Holyfield or Holyfield?
So it's everybody says it different. So,
but depends on where you're from, right?
The way I say it is Holyfield, but that's how we say it in the South.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's the Evander Holyfield pronunciation is makes you sound way tougher.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go with that one then. For
this episode. That's what we're gonna do.
Right? Let's go with the guy that took an earbud from Mike Tyson.
Exactly.
That sounds a lot tougher. Well, welcome, man. This is something that I know you and I have been in contact. Obviously, full-time jobs, families, and all that stuff always makes it a bit tougher to kind of open up those schedules, man. So I appreciate you being flexible. I know you've had to cancel a couple of times. We've canceled on you a couple of times, and it's just been nuts. But I'm happy that we were able to finally get everybody together and have you come on and talk to everybody about the latest and greatest of what's going on over at HGA. And hopefully we get a good little conversation about you, about the hobby, what you collect, what you're into, sports, all that good stuff. And just have some fun, man. So we're really excited to have you on, man. Thank you for taking the time.
No, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be on and be a part. I listen to your stuff all the time, so
appreciate that.
It's just good to be on and hang out. Absolutely,
good stuff, man. I've always said that, especially when it comes to HGA, a lot of what I did originally, I think my first submission ever was with PSA that I did on the channel. And it was maybe like a 10 or 15 card submission that I did. And I submitted, I think it was like almost 8 or 9 Luka Doncic rookie cards that I sent to them. Base rookie cards, because I like to rip hoops is my favorite. NBA hoops is my favorite product. Right. And I sent a stack. I mean, it was like 7 or 8 really nice Luka Doncic rookie cards. And they all came back with just terrible grades on them. One of them in particular came back as a trimmed, altered. Believe it or not. We're talking a 2018, 2019 Panini hoops. Luka card came back trim, altered, and they didn't grade it. Still charged me for it, of course. And I got pissed off. And I remember right about that time, I think I saw it might have been a Facebook ad or something like that for HGA, or I saw it on Facebook in one of the groups or something like that. And I was really upset with PSA at the time. It was kind of the beginning of like my being upset with PSA, my my life's purpose to trash PSA at the time. And I remember one of the big things that y'all were pushing was this hybrid process, right? Where there's an AI element to it. There's some, a high definition photo machine learning piece to it. But then there was also still this very much human element to it as well. And I remember thinking to myself, I was really pissed off because they didn't grade that Luca. And I said, I'm going to send it to these guys and see what's going on. And I logged on. I think my order number was like 28 or something like that. Like, I mean, we're talking
OG right there.
OG. That's right. OG way back in the day. And so I remember I sent it off, and you guys, I think I might have at the time paid for the expedited service or whatever. And you guys, I documented the whole thing on my YouTube channel. This is back when I had maybe, I don't know, 100, 200 subscribers. At the time, I was strictly just ripping product. And you guys graded it. You sent it back. It got a 9.5. And I remember I did this big, it's still to this day, I think it might be my highest viewed video. Because at the time, nobody.
I think I've seen that video. Actually.
Yeah, I think at the time, nobody was grading with anybody other than PSA. Like that was it. If you were grading cards, it was with PSA. So for somebody like me to come in and all of a sudden make all this noise about this other grading company that's brand spanking new, it was nuts. And I think that honestly, man, that may have, that I don't want to say that may have, but that definitely is what kind of put me in this different spot within the hobby where people were like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like why is he's grading with another company? This is crazy. And I think that's kind of what started to, funnel more and more people to my channel. So my relationship or my perception of HGA is probably a little different than the average person or even the average collector, because I have that connection with what you guys have done. And obviously at the time I had a really good relationship with Tyler. He was really open and very accessible, and I used to talk to him a lot and things like that. And so, I still think that by and large, you guys offer something that nobody else in the hobby offers. And it's still, in my opinion, a very serviceable piece of the market that nobody is servicing at the moment. So I have been wanting to get that out because it's something that I wanted to talk about,
No,
but
yeah.
You were gonna jump in, JD? I saw you.
No, I was gonna say that's the most you've said in a little bit. So,
yeah, it's such a
God bless you.
Yeah, it's such a good story. I think it's a good story because it really kind of opened up the channel. I mean, honestly, if I hadn't done that type of coverage and done that type of documenting what I was doing and given my reasons why I was doing it, I think that was the other thing too, is that I was really talking about my logic behind why I did that. And then ultimately that turned into the logic of why I submit with SGC as well. So,
so basically he wants a pat on the back. That's
all
of that. All of that was to say, like, he wants everybody to know he's cutting edge. He's different.
That's right.
And that's why you should be watching his stuff.
That's absolutely correct.
That's the dummy version.
See what I took out of that is HGA is what we got Omar on the map here.
That's what I'm saying. That too.
That's right.
So you guys should. So like, really, what we need is like a line of like retro hoops custom slabs.
There you go.
Like with his face on. Not just grade his face. Like all these, like like that, like one of these.
I love it.
There you go. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start working on it. That's gonna be my next submission.
Yeah, the old kid and play photo. You can throw your hair up, stand up against your door with your Reebok pumps on.
You had to go kid and play with me on that. Oh my god, that's hilarious! I never would have thought that was where we were gonna go. I have no idea we were gonna end up on kid and play.
Yeah, Jordan, we told you, man. It just, you never know what's going on here.
You never know what you're gonna get. I love
it.
So you guys have had quite a bit of transition over there over the last 3-4 months now.
Yeah.
Roughly?
Wait, time out.
Time out.
Are we not doing pickups?
Oh shoot!
Dude,
Yes.
I gotta go.
My
first.
brain is all over the place, JD. Thank you, man.
Actually, no, we gotta let our guest go first. My bad. My bad.
So, as you guys know, every week we do a quick little segment called Weekly Pickups. Now, this week, JD and I have had 2 episodes, but I did manage to make sure that I reserved one pickup for today and the other pickup for yesterday. We did give Jordan a heads up, so hopefully Jordan's got something that he's going to share with us in terms of pickups. So, my man, the floor is yours.
Cool. Well, I brought 2, and I wasn't sure which one I was going to do.
We'll run them both.
Yeah. So one player is somebody I'm just hot on. I feel like this guy's just going to continue blowing up. He kind of started out slow, was hurt his first year, but
I know where he's at.
Well, it's kind of got a glare. But I got Travis Etienne.
Etienne, yeah.
Out of 25. So it's a clean card.
Nice.
It'll grade nice with it being an acetate, because those acetate cards.
Those acetates are good.
A lot of times the surface on them is just rough. So, but anyways, I think Etienne's going to be an absolute monster in the league. So it's somebody that I'm big on. And even my fantasy teams, I've got them in most of my leagues, just because it was one of those guys that I wanted to make sure that I got on my roster just because I was big on him. So, and then I'm a diehard Eagles fan, big Eagles fan.
Oh God!
I know. I saw your Giants hat, and I was
and the podcast. Oh my God!
It's over. It's done. But anyway, so this is a new insert that came out of this year's Optic, and I think these cards are just awesome. But it's the King of Cards. I think.
Oh, those are so sick.
They're sweet. Yeah, the first one that I saw was a Jamar Chase, and I was like, whenever I first saw it, I was like, oh, that is sweet. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So I've been on the lookout for a Devontae Smith, and I about bought one at one of the shows we were at in Chantilly. Couldn't really come to a price, so I've been watching like eBay auctions. Just
trying to keep an eye.
Just waiting.
Yeah.
And was able to pick one up, and I think I got it in the mail Monday. So whenever you sent that out, I was like, oh yeah, I've got one. So,
what's the there's a set out there that just came out recently that I thought was really dope too, which is the that looks like playing cards.
Yes.
God, it reminded me a lot of that one that you just pulled, the one you just showed right now.
What product's that out of?
I want to say it's one of the early ones. Donruss Elite, it might be.
Is it? It's not certified, is it?
No, it's not certified. It's like you know what I'm talking about, JD. Have you seen it? Yeah. It's a football card that looks like a playing card.
I know they have them in hockey.
I know what you're talking about. I just can't think of it. But yeah.
Don't worry. Really cool. Somebody will tell us.
Yeah, somebody comment down.
Somebody is itching to type what it is. So
it's on the tip of my tongue, man. I can picture the card like perfect. Anyway, but that's a dope set from Optic. It's Optic this year, right?
Yeah, out of Optic. I'll tell you what, I ripped a lot of retail Optic this year.
Did you?
I got absolutely screwed by it.
Same.
I mean, I'm just like, all I want to pull is a downtown. I pull a downtown, I'll get my fix, and I'm done.
And then you're good. Yeah.
But it was like, man, I've opened like a decent amount, and I'm like, man, I'm getting just absolutely skunked on it.
Yeah. So it's been bad this year for some reason. I don't really open up a lot. I'll open up maybe a blaster or two of every product, like roughly. Just to see kind of what's out there, and you get a nice little hit every now and then. But one of the things that I rip a lot of, and I mean a lot, is NBA hoops, and I usually pan out pretty well. Some good autographs, I get some good parallels, and then I do a couple of hobby boxes, so I get some low numbered stuff. This year was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. So
I actually pulled a Jalen Green last year. It's the hot rookie autos?
Yeah, the hot signatures.
Yeah, hot signatures of him to 50. So I got my
Shingun. Yeah, I pulled a green to 25. That was like my best hit from the whole thing. But other than that, it was kind of brutal this year. It wasn't the best. But That's just kind of how it's been. I don't know why.
Yeah, I've been beat up lately on silk wax, so it's been rough.
Yeah, I gave up. I think I gave up just because of the quality control was dog shit this year, and I don't know. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So JD, you're up, buddy. I think I went first yesterday.
Yeah, I've been after this one for a while. Found it in old Canada. Patrice Bergeron of my Boston Bruins, Jambalaya.
Oh, a little Jambalaya edition. Dude, how sick are those Jambalaya cards? No matter the sport.
Like, yeah, these are cool like this year, but like the retro ones I like the retro ones better, but this came in. I forgot to show it last night, so thank God I didn't show it.
Yeah.
But that came in, and then just to bring everybody back to reality, I've had this forever, but Eli Manning.
Here we go. Look, you know what? Baby. He did that because you, Jordan. I'm telling you that right now.
Auto. I went in and pulled it out, baby, because I cannot handle this Eagles crap. So, Lou, when you listen to this episode, you son of a bitch, the New York Football Giants are coming for those Eagles.
JD, it's gonna be a long night, bro. It's gonna be a long night.
Oh man, that's hilarious. One of our other business partners, Lou, he's a big Philly guy. And man, the group chat
daily
is just saturated with these two going at each other.
It's literally from like 7 a.m. to like 12 at night, just insults back. There's no like you think we hate each other, but
yeah, that's hilarious, man.
At the office, we've got a bunch of Cowboy fans, so I deal with that on a daily basis. Yeah,
I'm surprised you guys don't have more Titans fans.
We do. There's a bunch of Titans, but
or Oilers fans. Really, is what they are. I mean, you guys.
I mean, this is true. Yeah, we're like 3 hours outside of Nashville, so it's just on the road. Yeah, so it's not bad.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
not bad.
Wait,
so how did you end up with Phillies?
Moon jerseys.
Hold on a second. Because you guys are in Nashville. You got a Nashville accent, so I know you're from Tennessee.
Now you're an accent expert. Here we go.
No, but I'll tell you what.
He does supply chain. He does cars. He does grading.
Okay.
Now he's an expert on accents.
I'm gonna tie all those in for you, Big Daddy. Okay, because the supply chain piece has flown me around the world several times. Okay. More importantly, it's kept me in the southern states, and so has my car obsession kept me in the southern states. If it's one thing I know, it's individual accents from people in the southern states. My man right here, he's a Tennessee guy, believe me. All right. So the other thing is, my question was, how did somebody from Tennessee, thoroughbred Tennessee, clearly, end up an Eagles fan? How'd that happen?
So it's funny. My grandpa growing up was an Eagles fan, and
so lineage.
Yeah, and at a young age, he had said, Jordan, he goes, you're going to make a lot of decisions in life. 2 that you want is you're going to be a UT Vols fan and you're going to be an Eagles fan. And it's stuck. And, so.
Fair enough.
I love it. Yeah.
So
you don't argue with that.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely.
You just roll with it. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll jump on mine really quick. This is I alluded to it a little bit in the conversation. I kind of threw it up there, but I was kind of saving it for. So this is Hakeem Olajuwon fast break autograph. It's 2020-2021, so it's from 2 years ago. Gold, numbered to 10. Believe it or not, I picked this thing up for under. I think I paid like $60 or $70 for it, which is insane because this is gold to 10. Yeah, exactly. Gold to 10, autograph, fast break signatures. I was pretty excited to get it. I mean, it was literally one of those situations where I threw out what I considered to be a bum bid, right? Yep. Where you just go, you know what? It was a 6-day auction. I threw a $75 bid at it. I think I was like, "There's no way this thing's gonna go under $100." And then a few days later, bing! I get the notification says, "Hey, you won!" And I'm like,
"Love that!
What?" And it's not surface is great, corners, edges are great. It's off center. It's clearly off centered. So it's I don't think it would do well, but it looks pretty good in a slab mag and a 3D prints. Shout out to my brother over at 3D Prints with the insert. But man, super pumped to have a gold Olajuwon to 10 autograph.
Yep, that's
under $100. Man, You can't beat that with a stick, man. I was pretty pumped about that. So, yeah, good, man. It's good stuff. Man, this is awesome. I love that we can that we can get you to participate in this kind of stuff. That's pretty dope.
No, it's fun. It's fun. Whenever I got the text last night, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. You're like, I got something. Yeah, you got something. That works, man. Good stuff, man. All right. So typically we go into some. You know what? I think we'll save that for another episode because I didn't get an opportunity to usually pull up like the top runners.
We don't need to do that. We do that. We got guests.
Yeah. We'll do that. All right, cool. So here's what I wanted to get into is I think you reached out to me originally when the kind of the transition first happened, ownership and all that stuff. So, walk us through that a little bit because I'm still a little hazy on kind of the timing on how all that happened. I think you guys there was originally a company that came in to do some consulting that ultimately took over. So based on what you can and what you can talk about, obviously there's some things that are confidential, but based on what you can talk about, just kind of give me the timeline on how you guys ultimately ended up taking over the company, how you ended up in your position, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah. So whenever I first started out with HGA, I was in a business development role where essentially my job was growing the brand, building partnerships, and stuff like that. I then kind of transitioned into an operations role because I've got experience with that in the past. And that's kind of when the transition happened. The company that ended up buying HGA, they were actually invested pretty early as like a silent partner. And and then we were to a point where they had decided that they were ready to purchase all of it. So that's kind of whenever that transition happened. And ultimately, the company is Armstrong International. They're a 120-year-old family-owned company. Some of the people in the family, they're card collectors. They're very passionate about the industry. And it was a really good opportunity for them to kind of get plugged in.
Nice.
So the transition went extremely smooth. So couldn't be happier with that. And they had brought some of their people in for a little bit to because as we're a new startup company, we're kind of rough around the edges in some areas. So they kind of came in and were able to put some policies and procedures in place that just help us run more smoothly.
Yeah.
And then through that process, that's whenever I was promoted to the CEO.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But all in all, it's went really, really well. Really, really well.
So you were already involved inside HGA.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Operationally.
Yeah.
Interesting. Right. I didn't know that. I always thought that like it was just a takeover, like like a buyout, and then let's plug in a bunch of new. I originally thought that you were part of that buying company that just came in and kind of plugged in their own folks. I didn't know that you actually had some history there previously.
Yeah, so I started in April. So really the company was about
they were like a year old, right? Or something like that?
No,
a year and a half at the time?
About 2.5 months old. I'm not talking this past April. April.
You're talking 2020.
2020.
Yeah,
okay,
2021.
Yeah.
So that's kind of whenever I had started, and then as we grew, that's kind of whenever I moved over into the operational to assist there and kind of put in practices that were better. Because like I said early on, we did some stuff really, really well, and we also did some stuff that could use a lot of improvement. Mm-hmm. And that's the nature of the beast. Whenever you have a new company, it's gonna happen. So through and then through that's kind of where I got plugged in operationally and was able to really kind of make that into like a well-oiled machine. And then Armstrong was also a big part of that. They have they're a great company, and they've got locations set up all over the world. So they've got some operation people that they were able to bring in that are just phenomenal. And that I learned just a ton from, and we were able to do some really cool stuff.
So is that Armstrong? Is it they're like an investment firm, investment company? How would you describe like their pedigree?
Ultimately, they're more into like industrial energy.
Okay.
So that's kind of where they've made their their name. But then they also, venture off and they also invest into companies that the family's passionate about.
Gotcha.
Whether it's in that industry or not.
Yep. Gotcha. So it's sort of like a passion project type thing. They saw the opportunity to really turn it into a viable business and just went heads in for it.
Absolutely. And then, whenever HGA was started, it was really kind of at that perfect time, right?
Yeah.
Because you had PSA that was shut down, BGS was shut down, and people COVID was happening. People were getting back into the hobby. They had been out of the hobby for years and years and years. And they were looking for a place to send their cards and get their cards graded.
Yeah.
And you have this new company that pops up and, it's like, oh, so all of a sudden, like they're integrating, the human grader with the AI technology, and they're doing the hybrid approach and, super cheesy right there, but
nice little plug.
You like that? But so it was cool because ultimately, I mean, realistically, the grading industry for about 30 years has been extremely stagnant.
It's the same, yeah.
I mean, nothing's changed. It's the 21st century. Like, why aren't people using technology to give concise, consistent, unbiased grades? And ultimately, that was the reason that HGA was started. Going back to the same thing, with you, whenever you had submitted to PSA early on and you got your stuff back and you're like, what in the world is this?
Yeah.
So
all right. So my question right off the bat, right? I don't want to kind of put you in the hot seat here, but I got to ask. You hear the word AI thrown around and like what can we talk about there? Because again, I don't want to go into things that we can't talk about. But like, what can you tell us as far as AI? Because to me, what I understand AI to be is like legit machine learning that takes a long time and a whole hell of a lot of cash to get to where it needs to be, like true artificial intelligence, right? So when you guys say AI, are we like, again, and I whatever you want to say, are we talking like some scanner that's on steroids? Are we talking you guys are actually coding something to or whatever, training it? Like what are we talking there? Because like that to me, I think is one of the, it's a term that I think in the sports card space is going to become more and more and more synonymous with what's going on as the tech continues to come into the hobby. But I also think that it's confusing to people when you hear AI, because to me, I automatically think, AI. I'm thinking like my the vacuum thing that goes around or this or that, like, so like what can you tell us there as far as, and again, I get it, you can't talk about certain things, but whatever you can tell us, I'd like to hear.
Yeah, so it's a lot more than just like, hey, let's take some high definition images of cards and zoom in and look at them. That's not the case here, right? Ultimately what it is every time that a card is entered into the system, that machine gets better and better and better and better.
Gotcha. Okay.
However, it's got to be programmed in a way where it's got to be able to see a card and be like, hey, this impression is supposed to be here, or is it not supposed to be here?
Right.
And think how many cards are out there, right? So there's a lot of time,
a lot of learning to do.
a
lot of time and learning, and it's nothing that's I'll tell you what, the people that develop this and that constantly are making this better, it's a different breed of person.
Sure.
It's not like
they're on another level of
they
have another way of thinking.
They have their own language. They talk like
exactly,
their own. So wait, am I correct then? Because I think I remember this. Isn't there a patent on this technology? Didn't Tyler get a patent before?
So we have multiple patents on it. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
So that's cool. Something that to me says it's unique, right? Because they don't hand out patents for something that's just whatever. All right. So then with the AI piece, right? How do you guys, how do you take HGA from where it was, because again, I think when it came out, I was in the groups on Facebook and things like that, and I do have to say, the Pat Tillman downtown card was probably the greatest graded card that there is. Like, talk about hitting a home run. That thing is priceless in my opinion. I just think something simple as that custom label really tied that thing together, and it's like, you know what, I'd almost like whoever owns that should be like somewhere in like, you know, Annapolis or some, you know what I mean? Like
it deserves to be in a museum. I mean, it's a piece
cool.
of art. It's a piece of art.
Yep. Yeah. So like what is, so, you know, you got HGA, you know, that you come on the scene, and you're, you know, you definitely have, I think, you've definitely kind of carved out your own niche. The hobby.
Yeah, for sure.
There's definitely a lot of people out there that like you guys and what you do, but to, let's say, someone like myself, who's a little more of a traditional kind of grader, you know, when I grade my cards, how do you get that slab into the hands of people like myself? You know, what's the process there? Like, as far as how do you expand? How do you get a little more of the market outside of just those original fan? You know what I mean? Does that make sense, that question?
Yeah, absolutely. It's essentially what's the plan to kind of grow from here?
Sure.
Growth, yeah.
So the touch on a couple points, and a lot of people aren't aware of this. You know, come February of 2023 is going to be our 2 year. We're going to turn 2 years old, right?
Okay.
In less than 2 years, we almost have. We're going to be hitting 500,000 cards in our pop report.
Wow.
You know, coming up. So technically, by volume, we're the 5th largest grading company in the world.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And we've been able to accomplish that in just 2 years, which is less than 2 years, which is huge. And then, you know, with HGA early on, like, you know, there was a time where whenever the company was started, one of the core values was where 10 days means 10 days.
Yeah.
And there was a time where that was no longer the case with us. And that's where we lost a lot of our momentum, a lot of our trust in the industry. We also made a couple errors, and we screwed up on some stuff, you know, and but, you know, whenever we screwed up, we also owned it and said, like, hey, yeah, we did make a mistake, and, you know, we owned it. So, you know, ultimately, you know, we had a lot of momentum in the industry where we were going. If you looked, you know, at that time at where our what our comps were compared to a lot of other companies, we were selling right there with a lot of the big dogs. I mean, we were making a push.
Yeah, I think my Luca, I ended up selling my PSA 10 for like 350, and then at the exact same time, I was selling, as part of the experiment, was selling my HGA 9.5, and I think it sold for maybe like $4 or $5 less or something like that at the beginning of it all. So yeah, that's it. At the time, you guys were like neck and neck with everything.
Yeah, I mean, we were right there, and then, you know, we got to the point where we got behind, and, you know, we were, you know, it was where, you know, 10 days was meaning 30 days, and 60 days was meaning 80 plus days, and so we got to a point where I think that we lost a lot of that trust, because people were so big on, because at this point, everybody's fed up with a lot of the other grading companies that are so behind at this point. They're like, hey, this is great. This is, you know, a company that's incorporating technology. They also have the ability to customize the overall look of the slab with the labels. I mean, we offer 6 different labels that cost nothing extra to you.
Right.
So, I mean, like there's a lot of that. So I think that caused us to lose a lot of that momentum. So to answer your question, like, how do we grow from here? How do we get back there? In, you know, a lot of that is like strategic marketing. One thing that we've realized that we kind of dropped the ball on, and it was you know, it is the TCG side of things. As you know, our labels are great, and they're awesome. You can, you know, just go with a standard neutral card match or team match. That's really cool. But you can also go that customized route. The TCG community absolutely eats it up. because they are big into like the details.
Right.
What that looks like. So right now we have a lot of concentration on our marketing and growing that TCG brand. But then also it's like, we're repairing a reputation that was a little bit broken, right? Where we didn't follow through, where 10 days means 10 days. So it's like we're having to gain back the trust of the industry. And a lot of that is taking some time, and but regardless, I mean, like where we're headed is still, in a very good, very, very good direction. Honestly, if you ever held one of the slabs, JD?
I have.
Yeah. So it just holding the slab, you can tell quality right off the get-go. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, hey, it's one of these new grading companies that pop up and we're going to order a bunch of slabs on.
Yeah.
Alibaba.
And go that route. I mean, like these things are expensive and to make the molds.
Yeah.
Right. So this isn't something that is cheap, and especially with the variety that we have. And so it's something that's taken some time to get there. So, but holding the slab, you can say like, hey, this is quality. Another thing is like the honest, consistent grading, right? Whenever I see people whenever you send a card in, you want to get a grade back that you're comfortable with, that you're like, hey, this is honest and this is true.
Yeah.
The fact that so many people are sending stuff in and being like, hey, this isn't accurate, and they're cracking this open and resending it into the same company, and it's coming back as a different grade,
completely different. Yeah,
that's a problem.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a huge problem.
That's the best part about grading.
What I think is crazy. So just to touch on that a little bit, Jordan, I think, and this is me. Like I'm new. I'm not new to collecting. I'm new to grading, right? And one of the things that it was one of those situations where I felt like that was such a norm that within the hobby, it was such a norm to crack a slab and send it back and then get a different grade. It was one of those things that was like, oh yeah, like, oh man, I got an 8. This shouldn't be an 8. It should be a 10. There's nothing wrong with it. Oh yeah, just crack it and resubmit it. Like, what? Well, why didn't they get it right the first time? It was one of those things that just had become such an eventuality in the hobby that when I first got into grading, the concept of that at its very base level just seemed so stupid to me. I'm like, what? Why are we doing this? What? Like, and again, it was one of those things that I talked a lot about on the channel that seemed to be like everybody was like, oh yeah, that's just what we do, man. Just crack it and send it in. Okay, it's cool to crack and send it in when PSA was at $8 a card.
Yeah.
Right. The problem is that now they're at $50 a card for base service. Like if you just want to send the card, and if you don't get the grade that you think you should have got or that you strongly feel you should have gotten, then that's another $50 you got to send. Call it 55, 60 with insurance and shipping.
Well,
it doesn't make any sense.
Not only that, but if you're looking to, like, you've got somebody that's hot right now, you send it in, you get it back, and it's not the grade you want, and then you crack it, you send it back in, and you wait 130, 120, 130 days, and that guy's tore his ACL at that point. You're like, oh, well, what do you do at this point? My investment that I had, my goal was to flip this, all of a sudden I can't do it.
I can't do it no more. Yeah.
Exactly.
The bowl flippers, I like to call them. I can't tell you how many times, like I think maybe like about 2 or 3 months ago is when people were really starting to get back a lot of the big bulk of the PSA, the big backlog and stuff like that. And I was watching sports channel after, because I pay attention to the space, and so many people were doing 200 card PSA order reveals, 50 card PSA order reveals, and the amount of bowl base prism rookie cards that people were submitting because they were trying to catch lightning in a bottle, right? I mean, at the time he went nuts, and they were like, oh, I got 50 of these. Let me send them all in, and I'll get them back in a couple weeks and flip them for, whatever. Well, 6 months later, you know what I mean? Like, they're just sitting on all these, the pop report.
Is he still in the league?
Yeah. He's actually doing pretty good.
Is he? Who's he playing for?
Denver still.
Oh, he's still with Denver?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. I knew he had gone to Denver, but I didn't know if he's still in the league. But,
don't give me a line here. Nope, he's in Orlando. Sorry, I lied.
All right. Yeah, you did. That's what you do. You lie.
I lie.
And you don't put your oil filters back on.
Like,
we're gonna have fun with this tonight.
Low blow, bro. Too early.
It's like you say to yourself, you come on the show week in and week out, and I listen to this guy tell me what a car guy he is. And the most standard thing of putting the oil filter back on properly, like any guy can do that. Any girl can do that. My dog could probably be trained to do that. And Captain Car Guy over here doesn't put on the oil filter. Unbelievable.
I got nothing to say. That's
Omar, you should have just not said anything.
No, I like to do this because what it does is that it allows me to remind myself the next time that I change my oil is that I got to put my oil filter back on, or JD will not let me hear.
Yeah, he'll be under the hood going, "That son of a bitch." Look at this. I tightened it too far this time. Now I can't get it off.
Never get it off. Yeah.
Bobo is actually doing pretty good. He's putting up last game he put up 28 and 1. Man, that's pretty good. So he's putting up some minutes, putting up some points.
28 points.
Good. Wow. 20.
I think those reveals whenever a lot of people were getting their stuff back. The one that to me that just stung so bad was all the Henry Ruggs. I remember I watched this one where some guy he was pulling fire out. I mean, it was, and I was just like, oh no, that's rough. That's rough.
It sucks, man. I mean, I'm telling you, it was interesting to watch because there was a good chunk of time there. I think what's the what's that guy's name? The guy looks like a freaking Kohl's supermodel. He has the podcast. He has the podcast with the finance dad. What's his name? Oh, man, I can't remember. Comeback Sports Card, whatever. Yeah. And he's a good looking guy, man. He looks like he'd be on he'd do some ad work for Kohl's, Anyway, he you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about though now, right? You're like, oh, okay.
Oh my God. I'm done.
It is what it is. The guy's got a
solid jawline. Being called like the Jack in the Box guy or something. You know what I mean?
No. The guy's got a solid jawline, man. He's got a DC Comics jawline. Anyway, he did
Brosnan.
Yeah. He did a reveal video where he had hundreds and hundreds of cards. I mean, it's like maybe a couple hundred cards that he had gotten back from PSA. And the amount of NBA hoops premium that he was submitting, like base stuff, like just Tyler Hero, like all this, like just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, and as he was doing it, he was, a little, kind of self-deprecating. He was like, man, that was hot back 6-8 months ago. You know what I mean? Like that. Trust me, it made sense when I sent it. You know what I mean? Because it's like now you look like a doofus. Because you spent money to get this card graded that's completely worthless now. But it was what it was, man. And I think that's a very under appreciated piece of what some of the other companies were able to do whenever PSA shut down or whenever PSA was taking a year with your cards. As everybody kept talking about, oh, well, PSA is a resale. Well, the resale doesn't mean shit if you don't have it with you to sell.
Right.
It's
and be able to sell it whenever it's hot and whenever it's right.
Exactly. You got to strike when the iron's hot, and if you can't get your card back in time, then it's almost worthless.
So following up off that point, Jordan, you guys, I assume you have a team where you sit around and you're like, all right, like what's most important to us at HGA, right? And you talked a little bit about basically gaining the trust back of the hobby, right? And that'll come. That definitely will come. I don't have any doubts in that. That'll come. But do you have the conversation with the guys and girls that work at HGA of all right, so what are we really concerned about here?
Yeah.
Is it
the core competency,
accuracy of grading? Is it turnaround times? Is it the cost to grade? What are the non-negotiables for you guys as far as this is what we want to hang our hat on day in and day out?
So essentially, we're the company that's ran by collectors for the collectors, right?
Okay.
So one thing that we pride ourselves on is we listen to our audience. and we want to make sure that we're making the right moves in the industry that makes sense, not just for us, but like, hey, like look what's going on. Look what's happening. Like what do we need to do to put ourselves into position with everything that's going on to be able to take that next step. So I mean, like for instance, and this kind of gets back to where I said where the industry was just extremely stagnant is, we're going to be the company that is always innovating, that's always listening, that's always growing, and that wants to come out with new products, that wants to come out with new features that ultimately enhances the buyers' results and what they want, right? And part of that is we came out with the horizontal slab, and
which I thought was genius.
Yeah, which was genius. And one thing that a lot of people know this, beautiful.
It's one of my favorites, man.
Yeah,
Kobe Shaq.
Oh yeah, I love Shaq.
I when you guys came out with that horizontal slab, I mean,
yeah, I will say I was like, when that came out, I was like, that is smart.
Game changer.
Well, it was kind of crazy. So getting back into like the cost it makes to make these molds, it's not cheap. It's tens of thousands of dollars. And we came out with one where, and we actually put on our social media a mock-up of what the new one's going to look like. And we're like, hey, what are your all's thoughts?
I remember that.
What do you think about this? And the original one looked a little bit different. We've actually still got a couple around the office, and I'll look at it sometimes and I'll be like, I'm glad we didn't go with that. I'm glad we listened. But we put it out and we listened to our customers, and they're like, hey, with having the card sideways and the label smaller, that's like it's the same size of label that would be in a vertical one. They're like, that's throwing off my OCD.
I remember that.
Crazy. So
to highlight kind of what you're talking about, Jordan, originally, I think you guys had went with this layout, right? But this label was the same size as the normal, as it would be like the normal label, or the same width, and it wasn't matching the width of the card. I remember when I first saw that, I was like, oh man, I hope they don't go with that. What you guys did afterwards, when you expanded that label and made it match the ratio of the card, is when you guys completely hit a home run on that.
Yeah, and
I remember that.
Part of the reason that we got there is because we listened, and we essentially took that feedback and we said, well, we just invested into building this mock-up, and let's throw it out the window. Let's start from scratch. Let's go back, and ultimately we came up with what we came out with the what we have now, and it's great.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I almost thought that I thought that was such a because so many iconic cards, and one of the immediate one that comes to mind is one that me and JD talk about all the time, is the Bo Jackson, right? Like, how much of a disservice to that iconic card is it to put it in anything but a horizontal slab?
Yeah. Are you talking about the Bo Jackson?
Bo Jackson, where he's got the shoulder pad with the baseball bat.
Love it. Great.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a great card that, in my opinion, gets. I mean, granted, up until you guys,
that's a prime candidate for the horizontal.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, this series right here that I'm collecting, because I have the Pippin and Elijah one as well, and then I think there's a Garnett and somebody else and it's this double feature where it's split in two and it's split down the middle, and that's how you guys set up the card. And in the background of both is the crowd, and so that's how you guys set the label up, where you did the crowd in the same split, and it fits so perfect. And it's like JD said, right? It's like some cards are just absolutely perfect candidates for that. And if it's a PC item for you, obviously, then you're going to keep it. You bought the card because you love it. In this case, like the Bo Jackson, I'm hunting for one. I'm hunting for a good one that I can send to you guys and have you guys make that, that horizontal slab. Some cards just lend themselves to that. And no company, maybe because of what you mentioned earlier, Jordan, the stagnant of the offering within these grading companies, no grading company was offering that. And to me, it just felt like such a matter of fact, like, why the hell not hasn't anybody done this? And when you guys did it, I was super excited, man. You guys hit it out of the park with that horizontal slab. And still to this day, nobody's doing it.
And you know what else is funny too? Like, Jordan, you made a great point. you guys, you said you guys listen. And to me, as a collector, as a investor, whatever you want to, however people want to label themselves, right? That's what I want out of any company I'm going to spend my dollars with, because you're 1,000% right. The hobby was stagnant. It was stagnant for so long, and it's just like, oh, that's the way it is. And I collect 1975 tops, and that's all I do. And I collect coins, and blah blah blah. And I only need them to be, from 1975, and nothing else, right? So collectors are like a finicky bunch as it is,
right?
So sometimes when you get like that change and whatever else, but to me, like I look at you guys, and especially with the custom labels. Like, you can fuse culture and cards in one. And I just gave you a total slogan line there. So if you use it, I definitely want credit.
JD needs his cut.
Because
like, you really JD, I'm listening. I'm loving
it. It's like I'm not gonna sit here and blow smoke. Like, I legit have thought the custom label was genius. Like, from the get-go. Like, I really did. I thought that was genius. We were talking earlier and off camera, and I said, as I load cards, I said this, and I'm going to say it again. I think we are the only pricing tool out there that's tracking HGA slab values, resale values. So I see it in the back end all the time, and I'm always like, you know what? They're still right there. They're still, it's not like, nobody's with, actually I shouldn't say nobody. The gap on some stuff is closing between the mighty PSA and everybody else.
Yeah, but PSA is still always going to be on top, though.
Yeah, and that's fine. It is what it is. We don't need to talk about that. Yeah. But when you look at BGS, SGC, CSG, and HGA, and we're able to do that at Old Card Hedge, it's kind of like a dogfight. It's a boxing match, like there's no difference between really
those gaps at that top 5 are closing up real quick, right?
Which is great, because to me, I want to see grade you're saying before, you guys have graded 500,000 cards or so in your existence so far.
Coming up on
it, yeah.
Yep. So that is a major milestone, in my opinion.
I agree.
And it shows that regardless of what everybody says, that there's a lot of interest in people grading with HGA. And again, you don't need 80% of the market to run a successful business.
Agree.
You don't. 1% of 1 billion is still a pretty damn good number. Any way you slice it. So I tip my hat to you guys, because I do think the creativity, the attention to what people are saying, admitting all right, hey, we messed up, we got to fix it. We know that. That's why I really like SGC. Pete did the same thing. He came out a couple of years ago, made a statement, bit him in his ass. Yeah. And then he said, screw that, and we're not doing that ever again. Yeah. I respect that crap. So I respect what you're saying, man. It's good stuff.
It says a lot that whenever you go through a tough time, and it's how you come out,
rebound. Yeah,
it's how you rebound from that.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've done really well with. And I'm not going to sit here and say we're never going to do anything. We're going to be perfect from here going out. That's always the goal, right? Are we going to screw up again? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what our goal is our goal is to put out the best product with the most consistent, concise, scientific based grade that also has that human touch to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're going to continue to do. We want to be that company that always innovates, that's always pushing other grading companies to become better, because competition,
baby.
Yeah, competition is where it's at. And there's some stuff along the way that, one thing that we do, and it blows my mind that people don't talk about this, but we've put our money where our mouth is, and we've said like, hey, we're going to offer a customer guarantee. And if you send your cards in, and whether it's on a 2-day or it's a 10-day or it's a 30-day or 60-day, and we don't hit that turnaround time, we're not only going to send your cards back to you done exactly how you wanted them to, but we're going to refund your money.
Yeah.
And like, that's huge.
Yeah, for sure.
That's huge.
Yeah. Because it says that you guys are standing behind your process ultimately.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's big for a lot of places.
Well, and that was whenever we shut down to catch back up and get through our backlog. That coming out of our backlog, that's something we put into place automatically. Realistically, we could have opened up submissions earlier than what we did, but we didn't feel comfortable sending a card out that whenever we still had late orders in house. We said, ultimately, like if I'm a customer and I've been waiting on my cards for 80 days at this point, and they open up their service levels, and somebody sends in a 2-day, and they send that 2-day out before they get my order out that's late. Like that's not right. That's a problem. That's just not right.
I'm actually going through that exact same thing right now with PSA, where I'm watching these people post their orders that went in after mine that they've already gotten back and have submitted another order that is further along than mine, and they haven't got that one back, but I haven't gotten my order back yet.
It's frustrating.
It's insane.
It's so frustrating.
That tells me, so again, you're operations guy, so am I. That tells me from an order management standpoint, you're not looking at your order book in the right way. You're not looking at it in terms of what is my latest order on the block, and I need to get that order. I need to put all hands on deck to get that order first, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one.
Well,
and
the thing is,
you're not managing it.
That's the right thing to do.
Exactly.
That's just the right thing to do. At the end of the day, that's just what should be done. That's right. The right thing to do. And that's the reason that we stayed shut down for as long as we did. And that ultimately that really hurt us.
Right.
As being a new company with all this momentum and saying like, hey, we're not going to, we built this company on where 10 days means 10 days. And, we want to get back to that. Yeah. So it was a hard decision to do. It was a gamble. But at the end of the day, we wanted to do the right thing by the customers, and in doing that allowed us to gain some of that trust back. And that was the first step that we took to gaining that back. Yeah.
What would you say? Because one of the things that I've always thought about, especially as I'm like kind of thinking about, if you put it in these in terms of like the top 5 grading companies, or the obviously the big 3 are the big 3, right? But then if you look at the top 5 grading companies, as I think JD mentioned it earlier, right? PSA, SGC, BGS, CSG, and then HGA. Those are the 5 that we monitor on Card Hedge, because we honestly feel that's the kind of the hierarchy of card grading companies. And but out of all of those companies, obviously PSA, SGC, and BGS have some lineage in the game, right? They've been around for a very long time before the run up. They've been in this for a while. CSG was part of a much larger group, like a much larger conglomerate that was already in a grading space, just not in sports cards. So for them, I kind of felt like it was like a easy transition. They kind of already had the framework, the foundations, maybe even most of the processes in place from a logistics and operations standpoint. I kind of felt like it was just easy for them to go, you know what? Marketing team, let's start doing sports cards, right? Let's hey, find me a good slab, call up the same people that are making our comic book stuff and get them to whip us something like come on, let's go quick. And it was easy for them to do so. I'm not saying that to say anything less of them, but I'm saying they really had some foundation there. You guys, on the other hand, was completely grassroots. I mean, you guys, it started from somebody going, hey, I think we could do this a little bit better. And I'm putting Tyler at the time, I'm putting some money behind this thing, and let's get this whole thing started. And here's what I envision, and here's how we're going to do this. And let's get this thing kicked off. ultimately rolling into you guys taking over and pushing it forward. But I think that says a lot about who you guys are as a company, because out of again, that top 5, if we're talking about the top 5 big dogs, you guys are the only ones that were essentially the new kids on the block, right? That started this thing from scratch, the underdogs that completely built it from the ground up. And I don't think people talk about that enough, because you just got finished mentioning you're coming up on your 2-year anniversary, right?
Crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And you're coming up on 500 million cards in your database. And that's an achievement that that several grading companies, fly-by-night grading companies, we all know about them because there was a bunch of them that popped up during this gold rush that just aren't around anymore.
Correct.
And maybe they may be around, but they're the niche of the niche. It's but I think out of all of them, you guys have been the ones that have come out of it. And there's always going to be one that's going to come out, right? But what's it going to be, and what are they going to be all about? And you guys have seemed to have done a really good job of keeping that going. What do you think is a big part of allowing you guys to have that, almost that flexibility? Because I feel like you guys have the most flexibility out of anybody in the grading space to, like you said, listen to your customers and then offer these new products. What is it about you guys that allows you to take those risks and do that?
Well, that's just who we are, right? We want to be that company that's always innovating. If we're not coming out with new products or new features that's going to be labeled, that new features that's going to be incorporated into all sorts of different stuff. If we don't, always developing the AI, the whole 9 yards, if we get to that point where we're not moving and innovating and growing, then that's not in our wheelhouse. That's not an option for us. And we want to be that company that's always pushing that down. We want to make sure that we have the best customer service in the industry.
Nice.
Because whenever you're going through what you're going through with PSA, you'd love to be able to write an email in or pick up the phone and call them and say like, hey, what's going on? Right.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Yeah. There's a whole video series going on right now. Shout out to my guys over at Bench Clear Media, Ty, who's dealing with a PSA issue at the moment, where I think he tried to call PSA and literally the recording told him, oh, we're not taking any more calls today. Thank you. Call us back tomorrow. And he's like, what? Yeah. And then he calls back the next morning and says, call tomorrow morning and try to get in the queue again. And he's like, what? So he calls the next morning, like 7:00 in the morning. And then same thing, it just told him, you've reached PSA. We're at our call limit for the day today. Call us back tomorrow. And it's like, what the hell?
I mean, it's frustrating.
It is,
right. It's kind of like, because I've used PSA in the past. I've used all.
Yeah, we all have. Yeah.
I'm a collector. So it's like, why do we put up with it?
Yeah.
Why?
That's the question that I ask all the time.
But to that point, though, JD, I think what the argument has always, because I've been that is the precipice of my channel is why are we accepting this? Why are we putting up with this? Why do we allow this? Because I can guarantee you, in any other industry, we would not do this, and we would vote with our dollars and we would move to another company. And that company that's doing shitty business would be out of business within a month, right? Yep. But for some reason, in this hobby, we seem to put up with it. And the argument, JD, has always been, well, it's because of their resale value.
Because their resale value, the registry.
Or the registry, right? So the resale value of the registry. But look here, that resale value, we just talked about it, right? That's closing up. Those gaps are closing up. They're no longer the 3x, 4x, 5x that it was for a PSA 10 versus an SGC 10 versus a BGS. Like those gaps are closing up because people are starting to smarten up. So the next question is what's it going to be? And I guarantee you that registry is not going to be their saving grace anymore for long, because there really isn't that many people that are messing with that. New collectors that are messing
and like to kind of go at it in a different way, right? If you graded with PSA during this crazy COVID time,
and you got your cards back, or you had cards in a PSA slab or whatever, chances are you made yourself a lot of money, right? If you're the buyer for some of these crazy prices though on cards,
you're hurting.
You're
holding the bag is what you're doing.
And we've talked about, like the tax thing and whatever, but like that's not for everybody, right? Because you got to be set up to take advantage of that stuff.
That's for the 1% of collectors.
But now on the flip side of all that, right? If you look at the actual sales data, and I don't care what company you take, BGS, SGC, HGA, CSG, you may have bought a card at an inflated price, but your initial purchase wasn't crazy. And your losses, even though it's down or whatever, it's not as bad as, I paid 4 G's and it's now worth 800.
Yeah.
Or I bought a Kobe Topps rookie for 10,000 and it's worth $800.
Yeah, that's worth that's what we were looking at the other day. That Kobe.
Right? So like if you just step back from it for a second and look at it in a different lens and say to yourself, you know what? Like my money is safer with the other guys. Yeah, sure, it can explode with the PSA 10. Everybody gets that. That's been like that forever. But now that everything's back to normal, in most cases, right? There should be much more flexibility for people to say, I'm going to send 10 cards over to HGA to check these guys out. Or I'm going to try SGC out or BGS or whatever it is now, because the
landscape is there to do that.
That instant cash out, homie, isn't there.
Yeah, it's not there.
So Jordan, some of my one other question I had, like, what are you guys doing at HGA? And again, forgive me for being green on the ins and outs, but I like to learn as I go. What are you guys doing as a company to enhance that collectability of the brand? Set registries, anything else that goes on.
You talked a little bit about Pop Report.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's one thing that we pride ourselves on is keeping a good and honest Pop Report. Okay. I know that we've even talked recently on the way that our Pop Report's set up, is fine. Like you can find the information that you want, but it can be better. It can be more user friendly. So that's something that we're taking a look at now. That's one of the many things. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in the background as well that we're working on, that we're going to be coming out with, that's going to be big game changers in the industry. Cool. So, there's a lot of, features that we want to be able to roll out that's going to be able to show off the AI, that's going to be able to show off what the AI is saying to the customers, and for them to be able to look at that specific card and know exactly what the AI saw with that and what the human grader saw with it, right? Because that's important, right? Like to me, if I'm a collector and I have a grade associated with this card, I want to know why I got that grade with that card, right? If it's just got a single grade on it, and it doesn't have subgrades, it doesn't have how do I know that's legit, right?
Right.
And that's the part that just, in all honesty, like as a collector, that I just don't get with people. I'm like, I know that you're chasing that 10 because that's going to give you the most money. But at the same time, like if I buy a card, I want to make sure that like if it says it's a 10 or if it's a 9 or a 9.5 or whatever it might be, that's actually the grade of that card. Right? I want to know that it's in that elite category of that grade. And the way that grading is with a lot of different companies right now, you just don't know that.
You don't know it. No, yeah, you're right.
You just don't know it. And I think that, part of whenever HGA2, whenever, we came on and there wasn't a whole lot of, there's been a ton of new grading companies pop up. I mean, there's been probably 10 that I can think of off the top of my hand that tried to completely knock us off.
Yeah.
So it's just laughable. It's funny.
One other question, man, and I don't mean to cut you off, but if I don't ask it, I'll lose my train of thought. And I know that the trolls and the comments will be all over me if I don't ask this.
Yeah.
You guys, your gem mint is still a 9.5, correct?
Correct.
Any conversations to switch that to a 10 and then back it down from the 10?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, we have talked about that. We've thrown the idea around. At this time, it's something that we're not doing. Okay. But that's not to say that we never will, or it's just right now that's not what we're focused on. We're focused on growing the brand. We're focused on gaining that reputation and that lost trust back. And we're focused on innovating and making sure that we're putting the very best product that we can possibly put out that's top notch in the industry. Those are the things that we're really, really focused on.
All right.
I was trying to see what you were talking about, JD, because you're talking about
basically the gem mint is like BGS, right? So it's a 9.5 here. And I think like the argument there is that, you know, the 10,
the 10 should be the gem mint.
3 guys using the 10, right? And then you've got 2, you know, well, you have SGC who's done the 9.5 as a mint plus, and then CSG just flat out copied them.
I was just about to ask what that was for, because I remember we talked a little bit about that with Peter, where you were talking about the 9.5 being the gem mint, the mint plus, right?
Mint plus, yep. Which I think is an accurate grade, and I think it's a useful grade. But again, it's not my company and yada yada yada, whatever. But I'm just throwing out my 2 cents.
Right.
But I really think, like, you know, something to, you know, definitely keep in your mind is that 10 really does help people on the back end when they go to sell.
Yeah.
There's, you know, you can just see it in the data. You know, I just think that part of the whole thing, and again, with the slabs and everything else, like I've seen a couple of the flawless HGA slabs, and they're tight.
Yeah.
They're tight. Like, I like it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just always curious about that.
Like between these 2 grades here, the 9.5 and the 10, JD, what would you say? Maybe like a 2x sometimes difference?
It all depends, man. It depends on the card. There's so many things. Like I don't. You can't, like, if
you guys were wondering why I'm asking JD this, is that this guy, he is the heart and soul of Card Hedge when it comes to the data, because JD's the one building the whole.
Yeah, I see like numbers in my eyeballs.
He looks at this stuff all day long. I could probably recite a lot of this shit in his sleep.
It's so, like, it's a bad I think this is a bad comparison. But
how so?
And then at the same time, it's not, right? What I'm about to say.
Okay.
The BGS 9.5 is now worth less than an SGC 10 and a PSA 10. That's almost consistent. Yes, there are cards in BGS 9.5s that are millions of dollars of cards or hundreds of thousands of dollars of cards, right? But you take, like, that Bergeron I showed you, if we each had one, and we had a PSA 10, an SGC 10, and a BGS 9.5, and an HGA 9.5, the 10s are going to bring more cash.
All day.
People just go, I got a 10, right?
Yeah, I got a 10. Yeah. Even though they're all gem mint, right?
And if you go with the 2 dogs that have been the most popular for the longest time in this race, a BGS 9.5 is probably like minimum 2x, 2.5x now on a standard card, you know, from a PSA 10. It's crazy. Like, wow. I look and I'm like, man, like, you know, I don't know, just throwing it out there, man, because it's like, again, it's outside of my day job. This is my other day job, and it's like I see a lot of numbers.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the honest feedback. I mean, like I said, we're that company that listens. We're the company that's by collectors for collectors.
Yeah. No, and I respect that, and I like that, and I totally get the other stuff that you guys are focusing on right now. And I agree with you. I think that is way more important than changing the grading scale. But I also think that also could lend to that trust, because it's like, hey, you know what? We realize, like, you know what? We may, whatever. Yeah. And again, I'm just a guy.
Just a guy.
Just
a guy with a mic.
Just a guy with a mic and an AirPod in. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I do have to say, like, I really enjoy watching companies like HGA navigate the waters, right their wrongs, and then make a comeback.
Keep pushing,
and it's like you down, but you're not out, right? It's like Rocky, you get hit. I didn't hear no bell.
No story is ever perfect.
Right. And it's not supposed to be, right?
Yeah, and it's the stuff that you do wrong and that ultimately defines you of what kind of company you're going to be, right? Yeah. And how you bounce back, how you deal with these, and how you get through the scenarios that we did. Yeah. And we're very much on the right track to that. We're continuing to grow. We're laser focused on quality and putting out the best product that we possibly can. And and I feel like that we do that right now. Our slabs they're gorgeous. The labels, you've got so many different options on what you can do. There's a lot that HGA offers. There's a lot that HGA offers that's just not just the flipper, but the collector for your PC. We have a PC option. I mean, there's my son, Weeball. I've got his card slabbed up, and like he sleeps with it some nights, and I'm like, that's just weird, part. Oh man, that's weird. but yeah, I mean, like there's a lot that we offer that a lot of other companies don't do. But quality is always key and number one.
So you mentioned about some. Sorry, Omar.
No, go ahead.
You mentioned about some things you're coming out with and the company as a whole and all that stuff in the coming months or whatnot. As those things roll out, would you like to come back on and we can talk about that?
Took the words right out of my mouth, Big Daddy. I was going to make that.
I'm a marketing guru, baby. I'm a marketing guru.
Yeah, we've got one. We've got a project that we're working on now, and I can't go real deep into it. That I've wanted to do for a long time, and we're trying to get this done before the end of the year. But I spoke with our IT team today. It's kind of on the fence, but we don't want to put out something that's going to be perfect. I mean, we want to make sure whatever we put out, it's going to be perfect and it's going to be right the first time. I'll let you guys know whenever that's going to happen.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
I'd love to announce it on the stream.
I'd love to have you on, man.
I mean, Omar, HGA is like where you began. You might as well.
We're connected, man. You stuck with me, bro.
I just won't let you work on my car. We'll
there you go. Just don't let me change your oil. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. No, man. But hey, I appreciate you having me. I appreciate the opportunity to come on and just hang out and talk.
I'm glad we got an opportunity to, because like I said, man, at the beginning, you and I have been, been in contact for, I think you reached out to me as soon as you got into your new role and you reached out and you said, hey man, here's my, my name's Jordan. I'm the new guy. Would love to talk to you. And, we've just, ever since then, man, we've been trying to get in contact and stuff. So, I'm very happy to have had you spend some time here with us. I know JD had to drop off today. It's his wife's birthday today, so happy birthday, Miss JD. But again, man, the time is always something that I appreciate. I'm glad that you're able to come on. Hopefully, folks got a really good look at or a really good sense of what's coming up next for you guys, and got a little bit. Maybe folks who aren't familiar. Folks that maybe joined the channel a little bit later on in the channel's history don't really know the history of retro hoops and HGA and kind of how I covered some of that stuff early on. But again, man, just really appreciate the time and really glad that you guys could continue to be successful in what you guys are doing. And And I wish you all guys all the best in that continued journey that you guys have of trying to gain that momentum back and get some of that trust back from the hobby, and hopefully it continues to work out for you guys the way it has been.
Omar, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the kind words, and
absolutely,
I appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to the next.
Absolutely. Well, thanks everybody for watching. We really appreciate you guys as always. Remember, leave us a comment if you have any questions for Jordan. Put them down in the comments. I'm pretty sure he'll go back and check them out, and we'll get some answers in there. But open door, Jordan, as always, man. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys. Peace out.